did this video of one of my worship paintings. It's based on a message on the Tower of Babel from Genesis 11, and it's a very unusual story. A story where it looks like God injected himself in history to mess up our plans. A casual reader of the story might be tempted to see God as the villain of this story. God can't be the villain. God is always good, so what really happened? Well, a few chapters before in Genesis 9, Noah and his family have just left the ark, and God commanded them to spread out and fill the earth. The rest of the chapter and all of chapter 10 tell us how they did just that. But as we approach chapter 11, the people get a different idea. They get an idea that's different from what God told them to do. They decided to stop spreading and gather, build themselves a city with a tower that reaches the heavens, to make a name for themselves. You might think, what's wrong with that? Well, first of all, it's opposite of what God told them to do. And it looks as though what they were really trying to do was build a life in a world apart from God and try to reach heaven in their own human efforts. That's why God put a stop to it. What did he do? He confounded their language so they could no longer understand each other. When that happened, they gave up the project, spread out, and filled the earth. It's why we speak many different languages today. In our world, we see the same thing. There are so many people that try to live a life apart from God. They try to explain him away. They believe that believing in God and following Jesus is stupid or antiquated or the choice of lesser IQs. When we fall prey to this, we start to really try to make a name for ourselves, to claim glory for our own accomplishments, and we try to build a heaven here on earth. But heaven apart from God, or for that matter, life apart from God, is not heaven. It's the opposite. When the people in Babel tried, God confused their language because he loved them and he loves us. We can't get to heaven apart from him. He had to stop them to save them. In Acts chapter 2, God did just the opposite, though, of what he did at Babel. Centuries and millennia have passed since Babel, and God himself has provided the only way to heaven through his son Jesus. By now, the people of the world speak many languages, but God has brought about salvation, and that is too important to miss because of a language barrier. So God provided a miracle. He gave his followers a gift that allowed them to speak in such a way that everyone, no matter what his language, heard the message of salvation through Jesus in his own language. Jesus is the way to heaven, and church, this needs to be the core of our message to the world around us. People may belittle our faith, people may be offended by our faith, but that doesn't make it wrong. The very people who belittle us are the ones God put us here to reach with this truth. We need to share boldly with everyone God gives us. We can't make our own way to heaven, but God in his grace has made a way, only one way. He gave us his only son to die on the cross for your sins and mine. His name is Jesus. If you're a believer, don't babble. Speak it clearly. Jesus saves.